It's really interesting. There's some words coming up which are just hitting me. Trust is one of them. I mean, trust is an absolute thing. I'm not sure why we should trust our government in the UK right at the moment. That's not from a political perspective. That's just in general, from a governance perspective. Is this the system we want? Do we trust that system? Are we doing right things for the UK? I'm sure you know the James Arbuthnot report, the House of Lords report after COVID, we're a crisis-ready country. And he said before COVID, we thought not only were we ready for COVID, we thought we were world leading. We thought we were world leading. It was just a fantasy. One of the lessons that came out of Hurricane, I'll come on to you in a minute, Ian. One of the lessons that came out of Hurricane Katrina was that FEMA, after Hurricane, which of course was a massive failure in terms of multi-agency response, but one of the messages that came out from FEMA was, we got it wrong. We got it wrong conceptually. We thought the job of FEMA was to do crisis management. It's not. The job of FEMA is to support communities that are doing crisis management. It's communities that own the crisis management. And our job is to support that. And it seems to me that the way the conversation is going is that is the realization that you have to have that grassroots thing, that robustness and that energy and that liveliness and all of those sorts of things. If you want to get this stuff to grow from there. Ian, you do the Project Resilience UK. You're looking to sort of how we can, as Laurence has referred to, sort of influence the conversation. Feel free to share your thoughts, sir.
The thing that is straight away that Laurence picked up and you touched on there with FEMA is that the paper that you were kind enough to publish, Beyond Resilience, the citizen survivability layer. Because in reality, when we talk about interoperability, emergency responders, etc., they are not the first ones there. We are talking about zero responders. Yeah? And therefore, in order to deal effectively with crises in the immediate moment, be that at an individual level, you have a heart attack, or you go up through the various orders of magnitude within the community, country, etc., then you need to have a proper understanding that the people that are always going to be there first are unlikely to have been trained. Certainly not in the UK. That may be different, and that's one of the reasons why we want to look at what Finland are doing, and other countries. I know that Japan, Israel, various other countries around the world have got some really good programs in to start embedding those kind of survivability skills into the population at large. So if you imagine that's sort of my basic starting point here, is all of this is great. And I remember talking to Professor Washington Ochieng at Imperial about this, and it was the main reason I got involved in this space, because I spoke about he spoke about the CARS project, which I know Laurence is involved with and is really, really good, and has a great deal of potential, I think, going forward. However, it's about recognizing that as a society, we've built all the structures, we've got the icing of the cake, we put a cherry on the top sometimes in terms of a regulator. But then what we've forgotten to do is actually bake the cake. We've forgotten to equip the people that we want to help with the skills necessary for them initially to help themselves. And so that's where the idea came from in terms of getting, how do you do that? Where do you start from? And Laurence touched on, again, in terms of, well, you've got to start at the bottom. That's my view. And you've got to start with the people. So this is basically, and I can only give you, I'm going to share my screen. Unfortunately, it's taken a little bit longer than planned. So yes, so what does a resilient UK look like? And again, as both have talked about, a resilient nation is where preparedness is normal. I'm not going to read it all. You can read yourselves because I know you're all clever. But how do we get there and what will we need to do? There's some metrics at the bottom that you can also see. And that's the aim and the objective. Now, in case any of you are thinking, what's this loony done? Has he just plucked some figures out there? No, these are the Office of National Statistics and Department for Education statistics. We have KS4, Year 11, 16-year-olds, 766,000 of them leaving school every year throughout the UK, which is great for them. But what we're going to do now is very quickly, I'm going to start on the bottom of the right-hand side. So we're talking about the empty minute. Well, the empty minute is what happens after an accident. That's what matters most. Every person, every minute counts. When we act instead of freeze, we save lives. The Empty Minute campaign, which Safer Spaces is going to be launching hopefully in the next month or two, creates that reflex to respond, to help, to know what to do. Moving up to building the layer. Apprenticeships. Now, we believe that the best way to do this is to embed it at school level. So everybody is actually working through the process. Now, when you graduate from our potential program is in year 11, then what you then do is the best person from that year, from that school, goes back and they become an apprentice. Then they move on to year 10, becoming an intermediate trainer, then to a trainer, so that by the time they go back into the system and they're being continually replaced, we have 4,182 schools every single year. That's 12,554 concurrent posts in a thing within each community across the UK that are actually delivering proper training within schools. And that creates what I would consider to be the ripple effect. Yeah. And that's the best bit for me. Because when you teach people, especially at a young age, and what happens is they come back to it. They go home, they say, oh, Mum, Dad, what's this, what's that, or whoever it is to the sibling, and they get an opportunity to practice. And that ripples it out. It then takes it out, that extra step, that extra layer, and brings people in. Creating a situation where social cohesion becomes a lived behaviour in this respect, not a slogan. Skills for life and work. We get survivability skills are also incredibly vital when it comes to employability skills, teamwork, calmness under pressure, responsibility. They build confidence. And that gives an economic or potentially economic contribution. It's sustainability by design. And we go back to the apprenticeship. We're reinforcing the system, peer teaching, and annual renewal, no permanent funding dependency. Sustainability will eventually be built into delivery. Finally, what do? We make sure that we capture all the things that we do well and that we build them back into the system so that we can provide future growth future knowledge going forward. And I think as David's appeared, and he's been here for some time, that clearly means I've overstayed my welcome. So I'm out of here. So David, can you knock me off?
Thank you. Thank you for that, Ian. It's really nice because one of the things that we're missing, I think I might agree with that. We have ambition and we have aspiration. What we don't have is structure methodology. It seems that the structure methodology is missing, that there's this idea of we'd like to do something, but not quite what. And what you've done here, and you certainly started to put something around which is a workable, this is a point of discussion, a point of truth.